Welcome to the Happy Black Woman Podcast, where we're on a mission to empower women to transform their lives through personal development and entrepreneurship. We bring you all the information, inspiration, and motivation you need to create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Now, please welcome your host, the happy Black woman herself, Rosetta Thurman.
Hello, ladies, and welcome back to the Happy Black Woman Podcast. I'm Rosetta Thurman, and I am delighted to be here with you once again. It is such an honor and a pleasure to bring you these podcast episodes each and every week. And I want to first just say thank you for all of you that have been sharing the podcast with your friends, your family, your bestie, your cousins, your aunties, because we need to let people know that this wealth of information and inspiration exists. We have had now over 80 episodes of conversations with some really incredible women, including myself, for those of you that want to dive into the solo episodes that I've done, on everything from really having the courage to follow your dreams, to how to declutter your mind and your home, your living space, to how to start traveling the world. There's so much resources that are within our podcast. And so thank you all for spreading the word. Thank you for all of your ratings and reviews on iTunes. And if you haven't had a chance to give us a rating or a review, you can go on iTunes, go to the Happy Black Woman Podcast and leave us your rating and let everyone else have an easier time finding this show. I just love when I get emails saying, I just found your podcast and I binge listened to all the episodes this week on my way to and from work. So thank you for helping us do that. All right. Well, now we're going to dive right into our conversation for today with the beautiful Gwen Lavender. Gwen is the founder of Lavender and Sage Connections. And the way that I know Gwen is that she has actually been a member of my Happy Black Woman Mastermind for many, many months now. And I've just had a really amazing time getting to know Gwen and mentoring her in her journey. She was an extraordinary woman before she came into the mastermind, and she's just done some really amazing work to get her message out there to women over 50 who really want to live their best life. So welcome, Gwen.
Oh, thank you, Rosetta. You know, it's a joy and an honor just to be with you today. Thank you so much.
It's amazing. Gwen actually was a panelist on our Launch Your Business Bootcamp training in New Orleans a few weeks ago. And you just had so much inspiration to share. And so those of you who weren't there with us in person, you're getting a treat today because you get to hear Gwen over audio. So Gwen, for everyone that doesn't know you like I do, can you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yes, Rosetta. You know, who I am is I am a woman of faith. I love working with mature women, and I'll say women over 50, helping them and inspiring them and just encouraging them to accomplish things, you know, that they've always wanted to do and really haven't done it, just to live their best lives and have no regrets. That's my focus. I found that women, they pour out of themselves into other people's lives most of the time, you know, and that quickly adds up to most of their lives. So she gives attention to accomplishing goals of other people's goals, and she's not living her passion, and she's not doing what she really wants to do. And so I found that she arrives at this age and stage of her life, I'll say 50 plus, and she starts to think about herself, or if she's not thinking about herself, she should be. And she wants to start thinking about the second half of her life and what she wants that to look like. She has fleeting thoughts probably, but she thinks she's thinking about it. But as she pours out into other people's lives, she's continually thinking about retirement. She may be in a pre-retirement stage, you know, contemplating retirement, or she could be actually retired, you know, and she's had a successful career. She's raised her children, and now she's an empty nester. She may even be a grandmother, but she's had, like I said, some successful roles in life with her family and her career. Yet She knows now, Rosetta, that it's time that she connects, that she reconnect, that she rediscover herself and start doing the things that she wants to do in her second half of her life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that, Gwen. I mean, there's so many women who are doing coaching and helping other people, but the fact that you specifically, are using your expertise to help women over 50 is a beautiful thing. I mean, I know that so many women in our Happy Black Woman tribe are over 50 and
Yeah.
are looking to figure out what is that next best step? Like, what is that next move, that next project, that next piece for me in my life that's going to be fulfilling. So I love what you do and I love how you do it. And just tell people, how do you do that with women? Do you offer coaching? Do you do events? What does that look like for you?
Well, Rosetta, what I do for this community, I really do love this community. I care about it. And so what I do, my expertise, I would say, is as a life coach. I am a facilitator. I'm a speaker. And I love being an event host. Working with the women over 50, I clearly identify with these women because number one, I am her. I am a tool. I am an empty nester. I am doing the things that I love to do. I am doing things really that brings me joy. So I really do that. And I know her concerns. I know her issues that she's facing in the second half of her life. So I tell my sage, Rosetta, I feel you. I am you.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you. I feel you. I am you. So it's very, very important to me that she gets clarity. She gets clear about who she is and what she wants, and she pursues it, not just get clear, pursues it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. And that she experiences the things in life and just don't settle for less.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that, and everybody should know this, that this is not a rehearsal. This is a live event that we call life. And we're actually in the second half of it. So now it's going to be the best time, the best time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Well, can you remind everyone of what the SAGE stands for? Because I want everybody to really get that.
Yes.
So your company is Lavender and Sage Connections, but there's a meaning behind the word sage for you.
There is definitely a meaning. The meaning is sisters aging gracefully and elegantly. Sisters sage is sisters aging gracefully and elegantly.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
And that is it. I mean, lavender and sage. We're moving forth we recognize and we're embracing the fact that we're aging, but the second half is told to us to be greater than the first half. So I believe that is the case, and that is the case.
Yeah, I love that because, there's a lot of different ways to age. You can age badly or you can age gracefully and elegantly. And there's such a promise that is within the name, just in the name of your company, that a lot of women resonate with. And I have always been so curious about why, as women, we're like afraid of aging. Like when we start getting those gray hairs, I'm starting to get little grays in the front of my head with my afro, and I just wear them. I hope I get a streak. And it's I have a little stylish streak there, and I want to when I get older, I want to have gray locks like Toni Morrison. That's always been my dream, because I've always felt like you can't get away from aging. If you're not aging, you're dying. Like if you're not aging, you're dead, right? You stop aging when you die. So I want to age.
So true, Zana. And I think the part it's an unknown. It's a change that's taking place that we have not encountered. We've seen other people do it. Mm-hmm. We've seen our parents do it. We've seen the people around us do it. And now we're seeing little signs that we are doing it. And it's funny that you mentioned going gray, because it was a process. It was a process of embracing it for me. Actually, I put it on my vision board. And I knew for a fact that I was going gray and the color wouldn't work anymore. And I put it on my vision board and I watched it. And it helped my gray to come out, to go fully gray. I also associated with gray with being negative.
Mm-hmm.
I read an article somewhere and it said something like, the more of us who are willing to allow our hair to go silver or gray or white, the more it's going to be considered the normal,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
something beautiful rather than something to be afraid of.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it was in like 2015. I put it on my vision board. And I also had a picture of Donna Brazile on my vision board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love, love, love her gray hair.
Yeah.
And I had the words by it, you can so do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was there, and I did this, and I talked to my stylist about it, you know. So she was my accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
was able to envision it. I had her as an accountability partner. I was encouraged. And all of a sudden, I just started to embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just love it. I love my locks. I love my hair.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best moves that I made at my age in this stage
Yes.
of my life.
Yes. And your locks are beautiful. And so, I got to put pictures of you and Toni Morrison on my vision board, so I could begin to embrace it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, given that you work with clients and women, and I know you have events throughout the year, you're really supporting women over 50, for the ladies who are listening, what are some ways that they can get started if, there's someone listening and she's like, well, I'm in my second half of life. How can I start to do the things that I've always wanted to do?
I would tell her some key things that I would tell her, Rosetta, is be intentional about whatever you're going to do. That is so key. The overarching umbrella that I frame my things that I would tell her is be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I've done research, and I've learned that being happy, and we all want to have joy, we all want to be happy, but a key part of being happy is being intentional. I would say, and this study said, you look at a pie, there's three parts to it, actually. There's your starting point, who you are, how you were born, and genetics, so be it. And that's 50%. And then there's your circumstances, the things that's happening around you, the changes in your health or maybe your money, your status or such, the external things, your circumstances. That's just 10%. But your intentional actions actually is 40%. Intentional mean, what's your attitude? What are you taking? What are you doing to exercise and be your best self? Are you showing gratitude? What's your relationship? We have input into those things. We can be intentional about those things. What's your career choices? Is there something you've always wanted to do that you're not doing now? You can be intentional and do those things. So that's the overalling umbrella, to be intentional to get what you want in the second half of life. You have to be intentional about a few things, and I'll just call them out. Is you have to be intentional about prayer. You have to be intentional about your meditation. You have to be intentional about your me time. Those things are key as we enter the second half of life, to incorporate those things even more so into our lives. I know, to get out what you really want, you have to just really, what I've been taught and I've found to be just so freeing and so real, is journaling. You have to just get that pen and paper and let it flow, and just ask some quick questions that you are facing right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you really want in the second? What do I want in the second half of my life? What do I want that to look like? Even what do I want to accomplish in the next 5 years? And then a better question is, what do you think God wants you to do that you're not doing? So I would take that pen and paper and let it flow. Don't worry about anything. Take as long as you need. Envision, because vision is powerful, what you want your second half to look like.
I love it.
It's so real, Rosetta. I mean, there's one more thing that I just have to say that she needs to do. She needs to be intentional about finding a coach.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to be intentional about finding an accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to understand that everybody is not going to embrace her vision, her goal, her dreams. Not everybody's going to do that. I found that to be tried and true. And so you need to find a coach, find that community, find that support. And when you do that, you will find that you're going to accelerate your goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really are going to stretch yourself as wider than you thought you could ever do. And when you stretch yourself, you're going to find that you're reaching your next level of promise, I call it. And you're going to gain clarity in doing that.
Mm-hmm. Those are all such good tips for the women listening, because I can feel your passion and also your experience in this. Like, you're speaking from experience from yourself. And I'm curious if you would be willing to share with us, like, what was it for you that had you know that this was your next step in life? Like, how did you know that you wanted to spend your second half of life helping other women?
I love it. In putting together my story, it's all in my story. So there's basically two reasons, Rosetta, that I started to this business of lavender and sage connections. Really, everything in me and my background has been calling me and pulling me towards starting my business. And to me, it's more than a business. It's really a calling on my life. And it really was just a matter of when would I answer that call. And so I answered the call, and I know I truly care about the community. I had had a very successful first career working with the government, and I retired early at 55. And during my career, I found my greatest satisfaction in counseling one on one and being a listening ear for
Mm-hmm.
those who are senior to me and those who work for me,
Mm.
just being that listening ear. They drew themselves to me as a confidant during my 9 to 5. But then after hours, I found great satisfaction in working with women's groups, support groups, and bringing just joyful experiences to them. Working with women's ministry was key in my after hours. I organized and hosted events and facilitate groups afterwards. And I had the opportunity to speak on various platforms. I've experienced a lot of things in life. I saw myself in them, in women, and I truly had empathy. So I spoke and coached them through situations as I coached myself through situations.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, there would be hurting women, hurting mothers, older women who should have been enjoying life, but they were burdened down with the cares of life, not putting themselves nowhere close to being first. So I worked through the issues of life. I inspired them by doing things, by being adventurous, by being the example. And I believed that I could do anything. And I believed that they could do anything that they set their minds to. I think about when I was 50, I went on a mission trip to South Africa. For nearly a month, I spent time in South Africa with a group of people that I barely knew. But I knew that I couldn't wait on my family and my friends to do things that I wanted to do. So it was on my heart. And I started to just write it down, what I wanted to do. Although I didn't do vision boards at that time, I had pictures and magazines and stuff. So as I was thinking about the things sort of came to me. There was doors open. I saw this church that was going to Africa, and I sought them out, and I visited with them a couple of times, and I signed up to do it. It wasn't expensive. It was probably like $3,500 some years ago. And it was a 5-star trip. It was awesome. It was the greatest experience I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And when I came back and I went to the support groups, it kind of encouraged them and inspired them to do the same. So you see that that thread runs deep with me. So my business really was formed long before it was born, and it grew out of empathy and an unfulfilled need. And if you allow me, that was the first part of why I started my business. The second reason, and I said before, I had a successful career and retired at 55. And then I became a licensed realtor because I love helping first time buyers. They were doing something that they always wanted to do. They figured they couldn't and they were overcomers. So I was determined and I partnered with them to make their dream become reality.
I love that.
Yes, but then Rosetta, it wasn't over there. The quest was still on. So I went and found the name of what I've been doing all my life, and that name wrapped around life coach. And I went on and I completed training and became certified personal executive life coach through Valerie Burton's coach training program. And I graduated from Cal. And now I was like armed. I had a calling, I had experience, I had training. And Rosetta, and I knew I needed to launch my business. So that is when you came into my life. I saw you, and what you did resonated with me so much. And I met you through the Happy Black Woman mentoring program, which I'm in now. So in this, I launched my business, Lavender and Sage Connections, which I just talked about, and we are a community and a tribe. I never used the word tribe before then when I became a happy Black woman. But this is how I'm helping her embrace who she is, embrace it her way.
Yeah.
Her way, not my way. Yours may not be travel, your style, your class, your taste, your authentic self. So Lavender Sage really is about connections in every sense of the word. It's about Sage. She's growing stronger and growing more in her connection with God. She is growing more and more in her connection with herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is really growing more and more in her connections with others. She's meeting like-minded people, sister friends, connections that we often lose at this age and stage of our lives. So that is basically how I got started and how I encourage other people and inspire other people to do it.
Wonderful. I love that, Gwen. I just am so inspired by your story because of how you took the steps. You took the same steps that you are teaching your clients to take. And not everyone does that. And it really is the key to success in your work as a coach is to walk your talk.
Yes.
And that's something that I learned from Valerie Burton too. One of my mentors in doing this work is that you have to lead by example and show your clients what's possible instead of just, preaching. You got to practice what you preach, You got to live it, you got to do it. And that's what you're doing.
Yes. And, I say to anybody, and I live this throughout my career, if you can do it, I can do it. And I say to them, if I can do it, you can do it. It's in you. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. And the tools are out there. The mentors are out there. And if you're ready to receive, you can receive.
Yeah. Beautiful. So much inspiration there for our listeners. And, as you are now moving forward in your second half of life and building this incredible business serving women, what are some of the things that keep you on track? I know you mentioned having a community, having the support, having a coach and a mentor, but what do you do on your own that supports you in staying on track with your vision and your goals?
I tell you, Rosetta, some of the things I do is a typical day for me. It starts with the day. So I'm an early riser. I've always been an early bird. And I find that I need to, stretch. I need to get the kinks out before the day starts. Time I hit the floor, I do stretching exercises. And I love, love, love moving through the morning with solitude. I love my quiet time. I love the time that I dedicate to prayer and meditation and just taking in the beauty. And, I sit in my office and I look out my window at the beautiful trees. And I love listening. Since it's spring, I'm listening to the birds singing. And they're singing right now, actually. And I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me what I need. It gives me the time to be in the moment, because shortly after this, the wheels are going to start turning to do this and to do that and to do the other. So it's important that I have the peace of morning. And that's when I journal and let it all come out. I love spending time in my office. I spend a lot of time here. So I'm surrounded with things that I love. And another thing that I do, daily walks are really non-negotiable for me because I need to be my best self. And at this age and stage of our lives, it's key that we do things intentionally to be our best self. And on a beautiful day, like maybe later this afternoon, I'll work in my garden. I love working in my garden. Those are some of the things that I like to do. Some of the things that are part of my day,
Mm-hmm.
That keeps me from becoming overwhelmed.
Yes.
With different things of life.
Right. I love that because there's so much, because there's a lot of women listening who there's this transition period, I think, for a lot of women of all ages, really, of where you're kind of leaving behind your old life and wanting to step into your new life. And there can be some tension there and some stress there. Like maybe you're leaving behind your job or you're about to retire or you just retired and you got to figure out how to now integrate into this new life, this new schedule, this new, work that you want to do, and having that time to really be with yourself is more important than we give credit for. Like we say, oh yeah, I will sit and I drink my coffee. I sat down and drank my coffee and then I just jumped into my day. And that's not enough. You really do have to take that time for yourself because otherwise you can get really frazzled throughout the day and those days turn into weeks and those weeks turn into months. And then 10 years have gone by and you still really haven't done what you want to do. So thank you for sharing the simplicity of how you can start your day.
Yes. And I just want to say, just don't minimize your me time.
Mm-hmm.
We can let other things so overtake our me time. That's key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is so key.
Yeah. I know so many women in our tribe that have gotten to know you and meet you have really looked up to you in what you've been able to create. And there's this feeling like, oh, well, Gwen, she's so brave and she's so courageous and I could never do that. What do you say to the woman who's like, yeah, I want to do something like that, but I'm afraid?
I'll say, face your fears. We all have them. We will continue to have them. I believe everybody has that fear or that doubt, but you step into it and you get what you need to move forward. You will find as you move forward purposely, intentionally, and work through that fear. No matter if it's just small steps. Mm-hmm. And I am doing things that I've never done before in my life at this age and stage of my life. And I always say, if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah. So I encourage you to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think it's also this really being able to leverage the success that you've had in other areas of your life to this new area, like the second half of your life, even with the women that I've worked with, over 50, over 60, they've all done something successfully already, whether it is having a successful career like you did, Gwen, in government or corporate or nonprofit, raising children, raising grown kids who now have their own careers and their own families. Those are accomplishments that you should definitely be proud of, and also remember them when you're starting something new, right? Like if you've been able to be successful as a mom, as a executive, you can do that in your own business, in your own passion project, whether you want to write your own book, whether you want to go out and just speak and share your message, you can be successful in that too. It's almost a guaranteed, venture if you just apply what you've done in the past to the new thing.
Yes, and as I look back and think of a saying that it basically says, everything you've done in life, you're going to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
My background and experience is what I'm doing today, but just in a bigger setting. It's coming aloud.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm living it out loud where it was in the background before.
Yeah.
Allow it to be up front. It's up front now.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much power in kind of owning your gifts and your talents and your story, because the older we get, the more stories we have to share, the more wisdom we have to share, the more experience. And for the women coming after us and the girls who are coming after us, especially, they need that, because it's not on Instagram. It's not on Twitter. It's not, those lessons are not being shared that way, the way they need to be. And so own your wisdom and really put it out there, however that is for you. So Gwen, in your journey, has there been a book that has inspired you along the way that you can recommend to our tribe?
Most definitely. There's basically two, Rosetta.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite book is the book of Proverbs in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I love that book because it feeds into me and it addresses day-to-day living. Sure, there's other books, but I see that the source of those books and those readings is really Proverbs, where you get to use good judgment, and wisdom is where you think and act using your knowledge and experience and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You use that in your judgment, your common sense, your insights. All this comes together. But the book of Proverbs is so real for me. And I just see life in there. I see life addressed in the book of Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really shaped my perspective on life.
Great.
My other book, my go-to book, the one that kind of resonated in me when I found the definition of what I do, that being a coach, is actually one of Valerie Burton's books, is Listen to Your Life.
Mm.
Yeah, Listen to Your Life. It's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And it really brings clarity to very important subject in my life, in my client's life. Just living to the fullest. We have an abundant life, but along with that abundant life, there's work to be done. So it awakened the possibilities for my life, for my clients' lives, and it brings to life a scripture that I love, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but it goes something like, faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so this book is really talking about steps and strategies, and it just inspires you and motivates you to take those steps and strategies. And for me, it helped me bridge that gap, the gap between possibility and dream and vision to reality. So I love that book.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, I know we're coming to the end of our time, and I can't let you go without you telling us what is the number one tip that you would give to the woman listening who wants to turn her passion into a business, but she's just not quite sure if she's ready, if she should do it. What advice would you give her knowing what you know now?
I have, I have more than one, but I'll give you one and try not to venture into two. But I would say to her, tip I would give to her is give yourself permission to just do it. To do it, meaning do your business, do the living that you need to do. Because you know what? God is giving you a vision and you need to do it now rather than later. And there's always going to be a reason why you can't. It's not a suitable time. It's not a good time, this or that. And you will want to really say it's more convenient. It's more comfortable to say, not yet, I'll do it tomorrow, not now. But I encourage you to invest the time, the work, the energy, and it's work, and the energy and the money into what you love, and truly the outcome, your reward is going to outweigh the cost. So I would tell her to get started now. As some saying, get started now, because a year from now, you will wish you had started today.
Definitely. Well, I loved what you shared about the timing, because we don't have all the time in the world, that at some point we are not going to be here anymore. And so I love that you brought that up. Like, if you don't start now, you're going to regret it, because you can't get that time back. You can't get this opportunity back. You can't get this moment back. So that's so important, because you have embraced that. You have used your time wisely. And so I can tell even now, even though you have so much more to go and to do and to serve, that even now you won't have any regrets, because you're doing exactly what you want to do. And I always tell people, like, I know people look at me like, oh, you're so young and you're this and you're that and you have so much to go. And I'm like, well, the whole point of why I'm living how I'm living is so that I don't have those regrets on my deathbed. Like, I always want to feel like if I died today, if I died tomorrow, that I would feel proud of what I've accomplished, that I would feel like I've done what I was put here to do, and that I gave it my all. And because we don't know when we're gonna go, right?
That's true.
You don't know.
That's so true. And it's such an abundant life awaiting us, and we're keeping ourselves from it. So I believe you can have what you can say you can have. You can do what you say you can do. You can be what you say you want to be. Mm-hmm. Put forth the effort, and it will happen.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely. Well, you have always been an inspiration to all of our women in the tribe that have gotten to meet you and know you. And for those who don't yet, they're going to want to know you now that they've heard your story here on the podcast. So how can our ladies stay in touch with you and get more of your wisdom and connect?
Yes, definitely connect with me at my web. It is gwenlavender.com, GwenLavender.com. And if you go there, you will get my free cupcake. You will get to sign up for a session with me, a discovery session. We'll be glad to talk to you.
Great. Yeah. So when you go to Gwen's website, GwenLavender.com, on the homepage, you can learn more about what she is up to, the work that she's doing, and also fill out the contact form so that you can get signed up for a call with her to figure out if she can help you with your second half of life, with really achieving the goals that you've always wanted to achieve. So GwenLavender.com is where you can go and connect with Gwen. And I know that there's so many of you who have been waiting for someone to come along and be that support. And this might be it for you. So thank you, Gwen, for being here with us today on the Happy Black Woman podcast. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Rosetta. It has been my pleasure. Thank you again.
All right, ladies, there you have it. Gwen Lavender of Lavender and Sage Connections. She is just one of the incredible experts that we've had on our podcast over the past year and a half. Like I said, we have over 80 conversations that you can dive into and binge listen. All you have to do is go to happyblackwoman.com and click on the podcast tab, and you will be so happy that you did, because you will get inspiration after inspiration from the women who have shared so generously their wisdom and their resources on this show. And if you want to get a taste of our tribe in person, I invite you to join us at our annual event, the Manifest Your Vision 3-day mindset retreat. It's coming up in January 2018. You've got plenty of time. If you're listening to this, you got plenty of time to get your tickets, your early bird tickets. And you can do that by going to happyblackwomanretreat.com. All right, ladies, until next time, have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Happy Black Woman podcast. If you want all the show's notes from today's episode, go to happyblackwomanpodcast.com. Plus, we'll send you a copy of Rosetta's free life mapping workbook. We look forward to empowering you next time. And until then, do something this week that makes you happy.